One of the undeniable highlights of Star Wars Celebration today has been their Carrie Fisher tribute. We got to see her and the rest of the cast clowning around, candid moments off the set with her family and co-stars, multiple times where she made us laugh, as well as moments of her being her boisterous self, both on and off the camera. We even got to see a bit of her dog, Gary. This video was followed by George Lucas saying, quote, "She was 1 in a billion." It really was a very fitting tribute, and here to talk with me about it is Avatal Ash, Roth Cornett, and Adam Hlavik.
Oh, yeah.
It's really well done.
So well done.
That's one of the best edited things I've seen.
Yeah. That is like legitimately, it's crazy how personal that you can take this stuff. When I was growing up, we watched 4 movies on repeat. The original Star Wars trilogy, which I count as one. And another one was the Blues Brothers. Mm-hmm. And so Carrie Fisher was such a big part of my childhood. Princess Leia was such a big part of my childhood. I had entire storylines made up for Leia because I didn't understand why she wasn't a Jedi by the end of it. And I would ask my mom, why wasn't Leia a Jedi? And she didn't want to disappoint me. So she's like, oh, she does become one. And those movies will come eventually. So I've been waiting for that. I actually thought that was true. And I was like waiting for it to happen. But I made up story.
What if your mom had just been like an uber nerd and was like, read the books, Roth?
She was an uber nerd. I mean, she is an uber nerd, actually.
That's also a really cool thing. She does, Roth. It's cool. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit. Can you not
tell from the movies she was showing me?
Yeah, right. So let's talk sort of Carrie Fisher memories and sort of things that she means to us. The first shot of this reminded me of we did a Screen Junkies show where we showed a bunch of old like Star Wars footage and weird interviews and stuff. And there's these outtakes of her. She's doing like a commercial or an audio book, and she's just like, "What are the words you're making me say? And what does this mean? And what is this?" And and it's such a fun video because it reminds you of how much her hands were on Star Wars. Like she would rewrite script pages, and you know, she rewrote the whole Han getting frozen in carbonite scene. Like you can see her notes all over everything, and so I just love how just sort of funny and critical and fiery she was, and I think it improved the franchise because of that.
Yeah, she was very special to this entire saga, obviously, being really the only prominent female character, even out of the prequel trilogy. She is the most prominent female character in Star Wars, period. Mm-hmm. There is no one greater than Princess Leia.
Yeah, probably in sci-fi.
In sci-fi, yeah. The most recognizable, one of the most iconic female heroines of sci-fi. But yeah, she's great. She was definitely my first crush as a kid. I saw Star Wars for the first time when I was 10. And I was like, oh, cool, big epic space battle. But then you see Princess Leia and you see how she carries herself and how like regal and very formal she is, but she's also a badass. She's not afraid to pick up the gun and get her hands dirty. That's such a respectable thing. And she was talking about in that French interview how, you know, we just don't, at that time, and even now, we really don't have heroines like that. Mm-hmm. So I think she really was at the forefront of doing something that we had never really seen before. And I think that's what also makes Princess Leia such an iconic character. But it speaks volumes about her as a person.
No, absolutely. Yeah, do you guys, even just outside of Star Wars, do you guys have any big sort of like Carrie Fisher moments or roles that really sort of you glommed onto?
When Harry Met Sally before I ever saw Star Wars. And yeah, I mean, she's just so lovable. She's so funny. And it's amazing watching these clips to see that she has seemingly no filter. Like she'll just say anything.
Star Wars Celebration interviews with her are the best.
I think that's the thing. Like she had such an expansive career. And in my mind, it was such... There were phases of Carrie Fisher in my life, like Star Wars definitely as a kid, and then also the Blues Brothers, like I was saying. So I had that piece of her too. And then when Postcards from the Edge came out, I read that, and I read it with my mom, and we used to watch Singing in the Rain together, and I connected the dots about the relationship that she had with her mother, which always sort of mirrored a lot of how I felt about my own. And then her as a writer became a thing, and I read her books, and she's so funny and smart and willing to be herself in a way that I so admire in other human beings, because I find it really difficult. I think a lot of people find it really difficult just to openly be yourself in the world, and she allows that space. She has no shame. She shouldn't, but she'll openly talk about things that most people are really have a lot of shame about and won't talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's been a real advocate for awareness around mental health, and that's huge and important and really hard to do in that position because you make yourself even more vulnerable to people's reactions or criticisms, and you risk becoming just that. And she did it bravely and transcended any sort of just like one, I don't know, she was never in a box.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think about her as a scriptwriter too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, rolling off of that, as two female creators, what's it like having a female sort of creator in the space like Carrie Fisher? What kind of impact did she have on you?
Well, you're more of a creator. I talk about other people's
also
creations for a
rock.
living. You
Come on.
create things.
I've seen your short film. Rhonda's very talented. She's got many talents. I mean, and even just hearing you talk about it and your reaction to it, like, this is, I guess, sort of a convoluted line of thinking, but like you've been super inspiring and like really a champion of women, and it's in a way that I really hadn't experienced before meeting you. Like very quickly you were like, you should meet this person and this thing could be helpful to you, and I can see that influence. But like it is like, you know, she was talking about how there weren't a bunch of strong women in film, and being able to see somebody like that who is unafraid. And this is a weird thing to say because it's going to sound really superficial, but I don't think it is. She's, I think, as much of a babe as an older woman as she is in the Star Wars movies. And it's not just because she's like hot, although she is. It's because she's like confident and open and sort of like whimsical.
She's so
and
free.
like, look at her. She's, I want to kiss her. You know, like
just
so
takes no
fearless.
shit.
yes.
Yeah.
It's just like a nice demonstration of like, it's not about aging, and especially in Hollywood where people are so obsessed with youth, and also our culture today is so youth obsessed. Like seeing somebody like that who's like sexy, you know?
Plus, I think even for men, not even just for female, like even for men to look at a character like Princess Leia and look at Carrie Fisher as a human being, and to really embrace like, oh wow, that's like that. I think that's really powerful, and it's very inspirational and very influential for men and how they treat women and just how you treat people in your daily life, and to feel okay with just being free and open about who you are. Like, don't be ashamed of who you are, what you love, embrace it and love it, because I think that just in turn influences more people.
Yeah, I think that the fearlessness, and I watched her one-woman show. I went down, obviously, after she passed, and then her mom passed so quickly afterwards, which was heartbreaking, but also really beautiful in a way. They loved each other in this way that I think for any two human beings is really rare and special. Went down a rabbit hole with both of their movies, and then watching her one-woman show. And it's that fearlessness, I think, that is probably the most inspirational, to your point, Adam, to anybody. To be able to make fun of yourself and get ahead. Like, she got ahead of the joke a lot of times. But if you see in the special with her and her mom, the HBO documentary, you know, she still experienced a ton of pain. And she had those moments where she said, you know, I joke about it and I laugh about it, but in a way, I don't want that to undersell the fact that this is very painful most of the time. So to just push through that alone, and then to have such a big influential career and understand your own place in the world. She called herself the custodian of Leia, which is like such a beautiful way to phrase that.
I love that. And I think the fact that most of the time with artists, that kind of like the jokes that she would make, you can see how it's self-defense mechanism in a way, and it doesn't take away from how funny she is. Like, I think you can see that pain, and it just kind of makes us love her more.
Yeah, she's learned how to use it. She's learned how to channel it.
Yeah.
That's very cool. The custodian of Leia. I think that's a nice, unless you guys have any closing thoughts, I think that's a nice place to leave it.
That's a beautiful video.
Thank you guys for hanging out and watching it with me. Guys, we want to know, what is your favorite memory of Princess Leia or the custodian of Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher? Let us know in the comments, and remember, be nice to each other. Like and subscribe for more Screen Junkies news. Click here for some more videos, and we'll see you again soon.